Well, I hope everyone is having a great day and getting ready for the holidays. I want to present to you our designer today, Judy Gray, and I'll tell you a little bit about her. Judy Gray is president of the Rhode Island Federation of Garden Clubs. She is the former president of Ashland Garden Club in New Hampshire, where she started her journey 30 years ago. Judy is a top award-winning floral designer who has designed at Boston Flower and Garden Show, Newport, Tower Hill, and the Rhode Island State Flower Shows. She has been invited to design at Flora in Winter at the Worcester, hope I said that wrong, right? Art Museum and Art in Bloom in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. For the past 4 years, she has been a chair and co-chair for the Rhode Island Design Specialty Flower Show. Her presentation today will be her twist on eco-friendly holiday designs. Judy's creative spirit is seen in her fun, funky, and amazing designs. And I have to say, I saw a design program by Judy while I was visiting Rhode Island and just found her delightful. So I hope you will do the same. Thank you, Judy, for doing this. You may begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam President, for the introduction. And thank you all today for being here. And at least on the East Coast, what better weather than wind and rain to stay inside and enjoy this program. I'd like to thank, I have Kathy LaRiviere with me today. She's a floral designer and a member of Rhode Island Federation. And she is a co-chair of the Design Study Workshop. So I'm really honored to have her here today. You'll find as a designer, I lean towards creative, non-traditional designs. So many of the concepts that you're going to see today are not original. They're reinvented or borrowed and some stolen with my own funky twist to it. So today's presentation will be about sustainable mechanics, holiday designs, using recycled containers, water picks, grid work with red dogwood, and using plant material to support your plants, your floral design. And it's all about not trying to use single-use foam in your designs. So it's so 2 years ago, this is how I got started with this. 2 years ago at our Rhode Island Design Show, we had Blakely Sauce, who is our former president of Rhode Island Federation, decided to, she wanted a sustainable award. So we now have a Blakely Sauce Award of Sustainability. This award is given for the best use of sustainable components in a design, environmentally friendly mechanics, upcycling, and or full compostable materials. And it's judged equally to the proportion of your overall design. So that really got me started on this a little bit more. I've always been creative, and so I very rarely use a single-use floral foam. So I'm trying to just transition into that. So I would very much like to start with my first design. And what I have chosen today is this gold container, all about green, gold, and white for the holidays. I've used red dogwood. I initially had specifically wanted 3 lines reaching out, and then I just positioned other twigs using dashes and tying them off in order to support my plant material. I'm going to use today anthuriums, western cedar, and not calla lilies, Asiatic lilies, hypericum, white pine, and pine cones. So my first thought on this design, I'm going to work towards me and I'll turn it around as I work on my designs. Now I have some beautiful white anthuriums, and I will say in the last couple of days, like they like to do, they turn a little color on me. But I think we'll be okay with that. What I'm going to do is follow my line with the red twigs and support them with a little dash or bind wire. I find often, thinking of these designs, the easy accessible way to mount them without, a lot of fuss and muss. So I'm hoping I have a container with water in here that's working. I did not fill this all the way. The other day I did, and I was like, good gosh, whatever I want to say. I no more could carry that. So I said, I got to start working with something else. So I'm going to follow this line. You might find once in a while I'll be a little quiet because I'm trying to concentrate. But the fun thing about this time of year, you can get a lot of greens right from your own front yard, which makes it so much more sustainable, as well as eco-friendly, not having a big carbon footprint. Florals are on another topic at this moment because of, let me turn that around towards the front. Like I said, I was working. So this time of year, I do have to order plant material from outside of this country, a lot of it. And, but in the in-season time, it's just wonderful to be able to use what you have available in your own yard, as well as nowadays, like here, we have so many floral growers now. So you can use local growers, which is very fun. Some interesting concepts that they've been putting out. So yeah, so I'm going to attach this one with a dash, and I'm going to get rid of my Lazy Susan because it's naturally, I'm okay with that. I thought it was spinning a little too much for me. I'm going to follow this line with some Western cedar, and just follow that line to soften it, give it some nice added color. And a little bit more down below. So this is kind of friendly. You can bend this stem a little bit, just gently, because it's soft. It's a semi-bend, not a complete crack. I broke many last night playing around with it, so I think I got it down a little bit on that. But I want to soften this a little bit and get rid of that totally gray, gold. It's just too bright for me. So I just wanted to downplay it a little bit with having some of this follow through. And I'm going to do one more anthurium in the front. And
Judy, we do have a question. Why is a dash being used to hold the plant material?
okay, so dashes are nice little square glue dots, and they're just much easier. So they're not, you can't see the dashes. You can't see the dashes. And if I was going to use bind wire, your eye would be stopping at every one of these bind wires. And as you know, I know from just designing for flower shows, if that stops the judge's eye, then there's going to be points taken off. So we try to use dashes. They're friendly. They're easy to use. They're not so friendly with your nails because, I'm fighting that quite a bit. But that's why we use a lot of dashes. It's just very friendly and easy. So when I'm binding sticks together, I'll put a little dash first to kind of hold it in place while I am using the bind wire. And you'll notice that I'm bending the stem of this, sorry, I'm gonna have a brain cramp, anthurium, just to give it a little bend so it's not straight on. It'll go in the water and it'll lay a little bit softer for me. I'm gonna add so I'm gonna start with that. And then I'm gonna add some Asiatic lilies. Or maybe just one big Asiatic lily. We'll see. I wasn't, sorry, you probably can't see me while I'm talking. I apologize. I had some cute little bunches of hypericum and I used white pine. And I'm going to just tuck that in. It's fighting. Another one to follow through in the back. You always want to finish your back off. You want to bring some color. Also, I wanted a little more definition of red in the front to go along with the red dogwood. Then I'm going to add an accent of gold painted pine cones. We now try to paint those by hand, not with a spray because of the toxicity of the spray. And yeah, it's a little trickier. It takes a little more time consuming, but it's much more healthier for you, especially spraying it, and also as well healthier for the environment. And we're all more so conscientious about the environment now that we need to think more broadly on what we're using for mechanics. And I think I might have one more.
Judy, one person asked, what is a dash?
A dash is basically a glue dot, but it's shaped as a square. And you can get those, you can get them online, you can get it commercially from a wholesaler, and it comes in a roll, and it's just easy work. And a lot of the concepts I'm talking about is from the designers. I've been fortunate to be able to be in some workshops with international designers. And so they often use dashes and bind wire, which is basically a wire covered in paper, and it's much more friendlier and softer to work with. It doesn't cut your materials. Sometimes when you bind too tight, especially me when I'm stressed, the next thing you know, I've broken my stem of my plant material. So I want to lift this up right here, tuck that in, and there you have it. Yay! I'm used to a little audience. Sorry, so I had to clap for myself. So
I'll clap. I'll be your clap. Thank you, Judy.
So you have the western cedar, the anthuriums, the red dogwood, the hypericum, white pine, gold pine cones, and the Asiatic lily. Thank you. So my second one is this funky little thing. Now, last night at 1 till 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, Eastern time, I decided I needed this branch in the front, and I had no idea how to secure it. And it weighted enough that the dashes just wasn't holding it for me. What I did, so it took a time, but what I did use is so you'd be surprised what you find inside design. So I used a floral pin that had some weight to it, wrapped a heavy gauge wire, run it up the inside, and ran it around the stem of the magnolia leaf to hold it into place. So far, so good. So what I have done is line my container once again with the western cedar. And this is a very simple design. I recently saw this design done a little differently. And I thought, oh, this is really nice for the holidays. So basically, I'm going to line this whole container with red carnations. One of my favorites this time of year, because it holds up super well. I'm not shy about using it. I love it. And I'm just going to fill this. And this is the one thing that I really have no mechanics for, except for the western cedar is holding up a lot of it for me instead of working with a grid. Now in here, I could have used a chicken wire pillow, and I tried to do that, but I was fighting with the cedar so much, I just could not deal with it anymore. But I'll give you a little example of that in just a moment. You'll find there's these pillows that you can buy that are plastic, which is fine because you can use them over and over and over again. So what I've decided, I use chicken wire. Everyone's been using all of these types of mechanics for years. nothing here is original as when it comes to mechanics for me. But I have recently watched an excellent video on making chicken wire cages by Hitomi Gilliam, who has a website and a station, excuse me, and on YouTube. So you can see many of our videos on YouTube, and they're just really friendly, easy, and what better way, especially all winter long, when we're not necessarily outside having fun gardening. And so I just love these carnations. They will last forever. I use a lot of carnations and floral design when I'm designing at flower shows, especially in a hot hall, because inevitably something's going to die on you. So I use carnations. They have those old-fashioned colors now. They're a purple. I don't know the varieties or the names, but there's a purple, there's a washed out pink that I just love. And let me see one more lily. I think they're on the floor. I'll grab it.
So Judy, the material in the vase is actually just cedar branches.
Yes,
which are holding
just cedar branches, and I just stacked them up and hope and pray they'll stay in place. And it looks very similar to this. It's just another type of cedar. It's Western cedar. We have some incense cedar that we're going to use as well today. Just light, feathery, fun. And let me see what's going on here. Ooh. And so the reason why I used some pine cones is because well, first of all, it was a wall of green like you see from behind. That wasn't very friendly. So I decided I wanted to use some of my magnolia leaves that I bought this huge bunch and only used that many, of course. Some noble fir and the pine cones with the white. It just kind of brings your eye down and it just softens the look. So that is my second design. Yay!
Thank you.
Oh, where are we going? Anyway, awesome. So let me slow down a little bit.
Can I ask you?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question that we have? Can you please give us the proper names for the ashes and soft
That's what they're called.
that you mentioned?
I will say they're called.
So we'll know what to buy.
Okay, you're breaking up a little, Brenda, but I think
that was for design number 1.
Yes, they're called U-glue, U-G-L-U dashes.
Okay.
So yeah, and they're just friendly. I will tell you, they're friendly. They're much friendlier than if you bought glue dots for scrapbooking. But I've used those in a pinch too, so they all do work quite well. But it comes in. I buy them in a roll of 1,000, and then we share them with our girlfriends, our other designers. So that's what makes them. And they're just much easier to use. And you can cut them in half. If you choose to cut them, you want to use titanium scissors so they don't stick to your blade. And they come in different sizes too, where you can get sheets like 1 by 3 or 2 by 3. I've always used the little ones, and I'm not sure if you can see that from here. Probably not, but I'm not sure because I'm looking at a very small camera. So what I've done here, this is my favorite thing. So when Brenda saw me, I did a similar design and I rolled aspidistras leaves and rolls 6 bunches later to fill this 7.5-inch dish. That was an insane moment for me. Now you can use lemon leaf as well. So I will say with the aspidistras, I started at the top, rolled it very tightly, used half a dash and stuck it together. On the end where it starts to get very backbone, and I will either clip that a little bit so it's like a vertebrae, or I just cut it off completely. Had nice rolls of the aspidistris leaves and just filled this full. So it was like little tubes, the whole thing. It was a little loosey-goosey, so I used some of those stems that I cut off from the aspidistris to give it a little bit more stability. So today I chose, because it's the holidays, I chose Douglas and Noble Fir, cut it different lengths, basically just jammed it packed full in here. And then I'm gonna work with some tulips if they will do what I want them to do. I'm not sure. They're kind of bending over. They were straight this morning, as we all know how that works out. And some white roses and some ranunculus and some white hypericum. And it's just going to be a fun, floaty, wiggy little design that I just think it's adorable. And I love white tulips during the holidays. So we'll see how the tulips work out. If not, I'll transfer them into using the roses. And this is really friendly. Just always when you put anything in, you should always hold your plant material from the bottom stem. And I'm just gonna let this kind of do its own thing, however it works, and call it a day. So this is actually these bough branches are working awesome because there's so much more little roughness to them and spots that you can secure your plant material in versus when I tried to do it with the aspidistris. And honestly, if I was going to do that again, I would wait till my hostas and my hydrangeas were in season and go at it. Because you know how those hostas are just massive. They go everywhere, do their own thing. So I would just, that would be the greatest time to do it, for sure. I was a little zealous in that at that time in October, that I probably needed to have a little bit more. And I'm gonna cut this down a little because I'm hoping my ranunculus will give it that fun wiggy look with all the tendrils that it has as well. What I like to call tendrils. That might not be the proper word, but we'll see. Some nice pretty white roses. I'm gonna cut those a little shorter, tuck them in. And these opened up lovely. They were very tight. So when like a rose, when it's a little tight, I'll tend to use a little hotter water, tempered water in order to open them up. If I don't want them to open, I'll use cooler water and I'll wrap them a little tighter in the packaging that they come in order for it to just kind of hold their shape until you want them to be blown out a little bit. And you remember always, like most of us know, that cut longer, you can always cut something off, but if you cut it too short, you are not going to be able to add on to it unless you get those water picks and sticks and do some magic. So, and I just think this is kind of fun. Kind of don't want them all on the same level. You know how you don't want everything to be on the same plane. So you want to make sure you lift up a little bit. Batter should always go to the base and the smaller head should go up a little higher. I don't know if that's working, but it is right now for me. So I just think this is fun with the roses, the tulips. Tulips are acting up a little bit. That's okay. And that's what's fun. So today is not about being the perfect NGC floral designer and winning that blue ribbon that we all love to win. It's more about just, this is the time that I can have some fun, experiment, and learn a lot of lessons. So actually, it's been a great learning experience for me to do these little workshops that I've been doing a little bit, and calling all my friends that are experts and seeing what they think about where I'm going with my ideas. It's always great to bounce things off with other people. Just makes it fun. And here I am. I'm probably making a crazy face right now, but That's how we do it. Oh, I love these things. So a couple of little wiggy things. You know, and I think of these ideas. The first thing I do is draw out some ideas. I'll think about it. I'll draw out some ideas and look at old designs that I've done, look at other people's designs, and try to find a nice happy medium. Then I will do it in color. I'll sit around while I'm watching, you know, those Bruins lose again, and work on my design, drawing it, figuring out plant material, and then I go from there. Not all my ideas work out in the end, like we all know. It's hit or miss sometimes. Where you think you're going in the right direction, you'll find out very quickly when you get judged at a flower show you were not. So it's just taking some time.
Judy, a lot of people are asking about water. What is the water level?
The water level right now is about a half an inch to an inch, only because I was carrying it and I didn't want to overly do it. And I'll probably add a little more every day. But with tulips, if anyone dealt with tulips, they grow. They also get a soft stem. Tulips, calla lilies, even the ranunculus will have a soft stem. If you put it in too much water, they're going to droop. They're going to get very mushy on the end. So my suggestion, and it's only because it's been suggested to me, is to cut it straight off, not at a 45, and just in a little bit of water, one inch of water or so. But you do have to keep an eye on that to make sure that it hasn't gone dry overnight. Those will make a much stiffer stem for you to work with. The other thing with tulips, especially, like I said, they grow overnight. And I learned that working with a friend of mine in her florist shop. When you do designs, you always want to make your tulips a little bit smaller because overnight they can grow an inch. So that's the other little trick to that. And although these are kind of all the same shapes, and I kind of probably wish I had mixed it up a little. They had some beautiful Astilbe yesterday in the market, but it was like 4 little stems for a price I just could not justify. So I decided I would just leave it at that. But I think that would have looked nice with a little light feathery instead of all of these being basically the same shape. But I really am trying to emphasize the fact that you can use branch material in here. Any type of leaf that you can roll, you can use sticks. But if I was going to line this with sticks, I would have put another container on the inside, line in between, so you're not having to bundle sticks, you know, bundle a lot of sticks. And the other bamboo. I did not bring a piece of bamboo, but Brenda saw me use a piece of bamboo in a design. I drilled holes. Every one of those segments holds water. So you could actually cut them and have a bundle of bamboo, the larger, semi-larger one, in place. And then you could use that like a water tube. You can use them, cut them at the sections and use them, drill holes. So that's also another friendly idea. And I'm sure many of you have other ideas that would work as well. I'm going to do a few little wiggy pieces in here. And then I may or may not add the hypericum. I had visions of this being more open. So I guess I probably should have used like a 12-inch container, not a 7.5. But after my experience with the aspidistris, I thought I better go a little smaller. So that's what I chose to do today. And let's get some wigginess in here. So I was very fortunate when I joined the garden club. I'll tell you a quick story. So my girlfriend asked me if I would do an herb and vegetable arrangement for a flower show they were having in town. I had no clue what she was talking about, anything. I was like, oh, sure. So I make it, had no clue. Oh my God, it's like the worst design ever. And they say, well, you can't enter unless you belong to our garden club because it's the rules. So give us, please give us $10. I was like, what? What kind of scam is this? Well, a little friendlier scam than I did today when somebody hacked my emails. But and ever since then, I was fortunate. I got second place. I got the bug, and so I've been doing it ever since. And it took some. It's a work in progress. Always something new to learn, and you can't be afraid to learn. You cannot be afraid to be judged by judged at a show. Everyone always needs to remember that you're being judged on a scale of points. You're not being judged against the other three designers that are in your class. So you're being judged on what you have learned, and then those lovely scale of points. So I always encourage everyone, go for it, because you don't know. I had no clue that I would like to do this, or even remotely talented at it. And some days I think I'm terrible at it, but most days it's a good day. So I'm gonna not put the hyper, or maybe I am. Let me see.
Judy, what are the wiggies?
Excuse me?
You're talking about someone that's
The what? The wiggy things?
the wiggies, or
Yeah, the wiggies.
Yeah.
Well, I call them by, what those are the little baby tendrils off of the ranunculus. So they're the
Okay.
ones that aren't formed to a nice blossom, and they hang out a little low, and it's just kind of fun. It adds movement to the design. It moves so it adds movement for the design, and it also allows you to well, yeah, basically I would have to say that would be the one major thing. It gives you just a little more movement than you would just these plant materials sitting there like ducks in a water. Because once this is done, I will add a little water to it and be done with it. And so I'm adding a few little short berries on the inside just for fun, and lifting a few things up. These tulips are gonna grow, so I'm gonna pull a few things up so they're not sticking up there like little soldiers at the end of the day. I think that was a comment once at a flower show. They look like little soldiers standing up. So this is what I have for this design. We're gonna add just a little more water to it, but like I said, I'd rather check the water every day than have those tulips really turn to mush overnight. And if you were worried that the water was getting a little dirty, this is pretty stable. I'd probably kind of drain that out and add a little fresh. So
that is beautiful, Judy.
I love this one. This is probably going to be my favorite, because the next one I'm not sure about. And you'll see why maybe. Let me not step in front of you. So while I get this one, I will talk a little bit about the pillows that I was talking, and I'm not quite sure. It's holly pillows is what I call. I'm not sure of the exact name. And you've probably seen them a lot. They're a grid work, just like you would use for chicken wire. They clamp together. They come in 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, I think even 12 to 16 inches. And they come in different shapes too, oval, round. They're very easy. You would place those on top of a container. I was just looking to see if I had one. And then you could tape it in place. Also, it's great to do bouquets that you can work with, have the stems out, and you pull this right out of your container and just clip it to refreshen the stems and put it in fresh water again. What I learned by watching Hitomi Gilliam's workshop on making them is using chicken wire. And so I made elongated one because I thought I was going to do this fancy centerpiece like my mother would have had on her table. And that's just not my style. So I abandoned that beautiful gold bowl with all the magnolia leaves. And but I did want to bring this to show you a little bit. And like I said, if you go on YouTube and search for Hitomi, you'll see that she has workshops on many things. She's very famous for her Mendolino extenders and using the materials that she has available to her. So this is another great little item to have. So last week, I was very fortunate. Our Judges Council does a workshop, if not 2 a year, and bring in an international designer. And so this was one of the designs we did last week. Now, it is by Jenny Thomason. And she, I'm gonna try to find a little piece of paperwork on her. I may not have that with me. But her whole idea behind this was to have something that you could use over and over again, very versatile. You could change this up, and it gave you an opportunity to have many possibilities in floral design. So when we did the workshop, we used anthuriums, lisianthus, sweet peas, ivory, asparagus fern also as well in this, using the red dogwood. These white, what I'll call sticks, is actually bamboo wrapped in plaster fabric. It's very similar to like wallpaper in a way. So if you ever worked with wallpaper, you can only know the mess that it causes. But it was really fun. It came in a wide roll and we split it in half and then dipped it in a little water and wrapped the bamboo. And it gave it a lot of texture and fun. Now this you could spray. You could take the dogwood is just sitting in place. You could spray this whole thing. Excuse me, I'm trying to learn to paint, not spray. So paint the sticks a different color, the water picks. At the base, we added, this is all done in plaster of Paris, which gypsum is a natural product and you can use it. But once it becomes plaster of Paris, it is not as friendly to the environment as you may think. So they do, I researched it because I'm like, here I am talking about it. I better know if it's good or not. And so what I did was, they say clay plaster will do the same for you and it is environmentally more friendly and it'll break down better for you. So it's plaster of Paris. These white sticks were put in, bamboo, and then set and then wrapped. And then we just lightly added and weaved in the red dogwood. We have sustainable, we got sheets of sustainable birch bark, which is usually foraged from down trees. And the company says that's exactly what they do. So we only hope that they're as honest as I am. And so I chopped it all up, put it in here. When you do these workshops, they give you free range. Do whatever you want. Have fun with it. You don't have to chop them all up. You could do other things. So every individual designer is doing her own thing with the assistance of this fabulous, fun, exciting, young designer that is just full of life. And it was just great. So I might have put about 20 water tubes. I used bind wire, which again is the wire coated in paper, twisted it around and then twisted it around and then hopefully trimmed them all so they're not hanging out loosey-goosey. I added the dogwood, weaved it in. I might have to dash a couple if they go south. And a friend of mine, Cheryl Celeste, the other day showed me a picture of what she did with hers once her flowers went by. And she used white pine. And I thought, oh my God, that looks so cute for this time of year. So I'm going to use some white pine, red tulips, some cranberries maybe, some fabric, and I've used a lovely incense cedar that has these nice teeny weeny cones on them that I just love. So I'm going to start with that. The white pine, I was so fortunate. I live on a riverbank, had plenty of it, but the last couple of years with all the floods, not much of a riverbank left. So I did told my other half that I was going down. So if I didn't come back up, let me know. Come and get me. So, but I'm sure he would have heard me if I'd gone splash. So I may not fill all of these water picks. We're just going to see how it goes. And that's what's fun about a designer like this that's teaching you, that she's allowing you to do your thing. It isn't, she's not sitting there going paint by number, telling you exactly where anything should go. The concept, yes, but after that, you're free for all. And yeah, it's just so much fun. especially you're learning something new, you're seeing something that's a little bit more contemporary than what we've been working with. I'm not sure how this would fall in the line when it comes to national and designs, but I'm gonna find out one of these days. You know, one time I designed at a flower show. It was one of our own in Ashland. And because I was the design entry and I helped chair, I ended up filling 3 classes. And I was very new to it. And I got the same statement for all 3 classes: static placement of plant material. So you can bet once that's happened to you, even once, usually you can remember and learn from what you had done in the past and hopefully bring it forward with you and not repeat it. But on a bad moment, on a bad day, I am apt to repeat the same mistake, and that's all right. It is what it is. So we'll start with that. I'm going to add some red tulips. And I don't mind if these have gotten a little wiggy and fun, because it's just going to add the movement. And I love this color with this red dogwood. I just love that color. So much fun. So most of my plant material comes from a wholesaler. And then there's a couple of great little stores, as we all know, that grocery stores that I buy a lot of my plant material from. And often it comes in on a daily basis, which is much more friendly than having to not to be wondering if your plant material is going to hold up at a flower show if it's fresh enough. You're not quite sure when the wholesaler might have gotten it, but oh my God, I'm loving this. Now, and that's all that matters. I will say, as long as I don't embarrass myself and I love my design, that's all that matters. And as always, you want to fill in the back too as well to bring your eye through, give it movement. Oh my God, I love it so much, I might have to fill every tube. And that's what's fun. I mean, how much more healthier can you be than doing? And maybe I'll just leave some with just pine in it. It's probably it, because I know I'm going to run out of probably those tulips. And the whole purpose of everything that I've been doing, all my containers are recycled containers. My mechanics, the red dogwood, all recycled. I might throw some cranberries in here, left over from Thanksgiving. And so that is the purpose of sustainability, to try your best. You can't do everything. Like I said, I can't get plant material here that is not from, has a larger footprint than, you know, just next door. So there's some things that you can work on. And as long as you're striving to work on those things, I think that's what is important. We're not always going to. Now, as a creative designer, I've never really used a lot of single floral foam, but I also know there is moments when I need to use it. So there is a lot of alternatives. I'm looking for my scissors, they're right in front of me, of course. I'm looking at alternatives that there's some on the market now, there's more being developed. I have a learning curve with it, so I did not want to use it today. I wanted to be comfortable and just have fun. But a lot of them are made out of basalt minerals, which is volcanic, and then added sugar, made into fiber, and then pressed into blocks. So as we move along, I know there's a university right now working on a corn-based one. So the more we work on it, whoops, I think that needs to go there instead. The more that we challenge ourselves to try something different, friendlier for the environment, we are all going to be much better off. And we're a garden club. We should be looking towards those alternatives. I'm not sure if I really like this heavy stick. This is a little heavy, so I'm going to try to trim a little off, and hopefully I don't go, whoops, wish I didn't do that, and add it in. Maybe at a different angle, so it's not sticking out here in no man's land by itself. And that's there, that's a little better for 'em. And always, don't forget, you can always wedge something by using another little piece of stick at its base. And now I need another bigger stick because I just took that one. Let's see. Oh my God, it is pouring out. I can hear it. Fun, fun, fun. Yeah, better than snow, I'd have to say right now. Anyways, okay, this is the front. I tagged it with that. And wow.
We have a question about where'd you add the cranberries?
Oh, I haven't got there yet, and that's gonna be my next step. As soon as I bind this stick that just does not want to cooperate with me. So I'm gonna bind this. What I do, and I just learned this through my friend Candace, is I fold it in half. And then I will put these two through the loop with the stick in there and tighten it. And that holds much easier than me trying to keep winding it around. I still will wind it around a little bit, but it's a little more friendlier. And so this is those little tricks that you see when you go to workshops like this, go to your local garden club where they're having a lecture with a designer of sorts, and you get to learn these little tricks. And honestly, in my tool chest, normally, not today, I would have some white paint to paint this little bind wire so you wouldn't see it. And I probably could have done it a little lower, and we might sneak in a little piece of birch bark, or maybe those cranberries will hide that wire for me. And I'm gonna snip that off so you don't see it. Yeah, usually I have all color magic markers, I have paint. I will go to a show with everything that I might need that might kind of fall by the wayside real quick. Thank you, Kathy. I'm just gonna add another little piece of that beautiful incense cedar, because I don't really want you to see this. There, there's a tube there, yep. Just want to soften the tube that's kind of staring me in the face. I don't really care for it as much, although it is in the back. I just noticed this is going a little that way, but it's okay for that. And then I'm going to try to work with the cranberries. What I was so blessed, Kathy came early and she strung some cranberries for me. I was going to use hypericum, and then I'm like, well, I don't need to buy anymore. Why buy more? Let's work with what you have. And let's see if this is going to work out for me. Somewhere I can sneak this in. Now that I secured that lovely branch, it's a little tight. I'll start up top and weave it down. So this is just done on like maybe 22 gauge wire. I don't know. Did you use a pick or something to pick a hole first? No, it worked. Poked it through. So sometimes, you know, I always have ice picks. I collect ice picks. Don't ask me why. Just for this reason alone, I suppose. So I'm going to pull those down a little bit. Little on the heavy side, so I'm going to have to secure it. But this really gives you that holiday feeling. Strung cranberries. No, I do not do popcorn because I would eat it all. It would never get on the tree. So I am going to hopefully, and maybe should have done that before, but we're gonna just swoop that in. Try to gently place it in a spot. It's a little heavy, and I'm gonna say I wish I had used hypericum instead a little bit, but I think, where am I in the front? Oh my God, that's awful. Anyways, let me see what I can do. Bring it around and through. And then I'm not going to be as fussy worrying about the back so much, because as always, those judges should not be back there looking at what you've done in the back, but you always want it to finish it off, no matter what. And yeah, I think next time I would use Hypericum because this is way too heavy for this design. But yeah, that's the idea that I really wanted to have. I'm not thrilled with it at all, but we're going to work with it a little bit. And it is what it is for today. And I'm fighting with needles, branches, and wire. And then we'll see how this looks. I'm really not keen on it, but like I said, it is what it is. Sometimes you just have to go. You know, I've been panicked at a show last minute and not been able to, sorry, having a little bit of a cramp on that. Let me fix that a little. And also what we used the other day, which was kind of fun, was this fabric. And we had weaved it in. But I really wasn't, I love the texture. I wasn't thrilled with the color. It kind of was a little drab for this design. And so I'm going to leave it out. And I've added some birch here and there for it to, on the water picks to kind of bring the birch up and through a little bit. And I'm going to call this a day, but I would honestly say I would never use cranberries. Way too heavy for this design. And I would go with red Hypericum, maybe a little of the white. A pink Hypericum would have looked gorgeous in there. It would have made everything pop as well. So this is my fourth design. And then I had just one mechanic type thing that I wanted to teach while I have you here, because I did not want to run overtime, but I also wanted you to have some chance. When I talk about that balsa wool, this is what it looks like. And different companies make it. If you need to text me or email me and ask that question, I'm sure that I will be able to answer who makes it, but I prefer not to advertise a company at this point. What I did here, I'm going to show you. I just saw this happen the other day, and I thought this was just cool. What they did was took stems of flowers, and I'm sure this is not new to everyone. Many people. It's very much of an ikebana. I bundled a bunch of floral stems, one elastic band, two around it, and then ran a stick through it. And it's nice and secure. I placed it in this container, always cutting the stick a little bigger so it will wedge into place. And there it sits in my container like this. This container would have been great to do a grid work with either chicken wire or sticks, laying them in both directions. But this is fun. I'm going to add a little water to this. And the whole purpose behind that is, I'll take a minute. I'll just grab it right here. I have some beat up anthuriums that are starting to look brown, but I'll just give you the idea of what they were doing. Using those sticks, they're putting this in between and it'll hold, I'm going to say it'll hold it in place. And this is kind of like staring you in the face, but why not? So there. And then, yeah, Kathy's throwing me some goodies just to have fun with. So I'm going to add another one, a rose to this, maybe a little lower, and maybe a leaf or something. I can probably, I didn't bring any leaves with me. I'll just use a little white pine. No, I'll just use white pine just to give it a flow of something. And so this is really nothing. I haven't practiced. I haven't thought about this much, but just the idea that you can bundle some sticks, green plant stems from flowers, and that looks horrible because it's staring you in the face. So I'll just lay it down like that because I just can't bear that look. Static placement. But I just wanted to give you an idea that you can bundle with elastic band sticks and use this. The designer that had done this had done 2 bunches and then had 2 sticks, and then they placed some leaves as well. But it was just trying to give you an idea of the other mechanics that you can use and floral design. So we have a couple of minutes, so I don't know if there's any questions, or you want me to,
There are a lot of questions. One is to spell the name of the designer that
It's Hitomi?
Yes.
Hopefully I got it correct. Hittomi, Gilliam, Gilliam. She's from Vancouver, British Columbia area. She has a fabulous YouTube channel. She has an immense amount of fun videos and just great mechanics. You will absolutely love her. You can just see that she shines in that field. Just amazing.
One individual wanted to know, how long do these designs last? Will they last?
I would say at least a week, easily. And especially the ones with the tulips, because I can add water to the water tubes. The one with the balsams, I'll actually bring them all forward real quick so you can see them again before we X out. So this will last quite well. You might have to replace the tulips, get rid of the tulips, and leave what you have left. Leave what you have. Or you can buy a few more flowers and add to it. So this would last a long time. This is, I mean, I just can't get over this design, except for the cranberries. I'll say it one more time. And then, oh, that can go probably right here. Yeah. And then the gold one here with the stick. They'll all last quite well. If you have water picks, you know you're going to have to add water to them. Do not put them near heat, air conditioning, bright light, like heat, really bright light, and fans overhead. You want to kind of keep them in a cool, indirect light. And, you know, if your house is hot, just try to keep them away from the heat as best as possible.
Judy, you did, I believe, have water in with the cedar design too. That was the question.
Yes. So like I said, because of the tulips, I have a good inch and a half of water at the bottom. All my stems are hitting the bottom. Okay. So that should be just fine, but I certainly would possibly, if I thought it was getting a little dirty, tip it out of the sink, get rid of the dirty water, add some fresh, clean water. You might have to recut some stems. You may not want these tulips growing an inch, so you may have to recut as you go along with almost anything. Sometimes, you know, this lily in the back might open up and look a little prettier where this is starting to go. So I just turn that around.
Could you spell the designer's name again? One.
Not a problem. I can't believe I know it. Hittomi, Gilliam, Gilliam. When you put that into a search in YouTube, definitely use her full name, or you're going to get this cute little spicy girl, and I'm not sure. I think she might be a model. So, yeah, I failed a few times going, where am I? But I spell out the whole name. Designer, Mindolino. She does lots of work with reed, Mindolino, yarn, textiles. So she's fabulous, and she's an incredible instructor. If you're ever fortunate to be in one of her workshops, she is nonstop the whole time. A plethora of information.
And let's close by talking about the concern about the type of foam most designers use.
Okay, so the green floral foam is a single-use product. You cannot use it again. Once you have placed your stem in and created a hole, that hole is stained. So you have to be very careful about stem warfare on that. They have figured out that it takes over 30,000 years for it to break down, and it breaks down into millions of little plastic particles. So terrible for the environment. I understand the industry needs to use it. And as we move forward and have other ideas and alternatives, I'm hoping that that will change. Chelsea Flower Show no longer allows the green foam. So when you're looking at the new alternative foams that are made out of volcanic minerals and different types of sugar, those will break down for you. There's a company that it will break down 100% compostable. It can go into your flower pots in your house. It can go into your compost, into your garden. It takes very little water, that product, very little water. You do not soak it like Oasis. You certainly best follow those directions, because I ended up with a big sponge a couple of times. It's a little trickier to work with. It's a little more firmer. So sometimes we will use a pick of some sort or a stem to insert a hole and then the stem, especially when you're working with those soft stems like tulips and calla lilies. And also with that, you can reuse it again and again. My suggestion, if you had it in a container and you wanted to use it again, take it out, let it air dry out. Don't let it get molded, because it may mold within your container. I had one from New England Garden Club, which was in late October. I just found the container because I stuffed it somewhere when I got home. Still had it still had this product in it, and it also was still damp. It holds great water. You don't have to overwater it at all, if at all, the whole time you have your plant material. So it's just really a friendly product, incredibly friendly. And I have a couple of very wet, spongy ones at home that I'm going to put in my pots when I get home. It's just a great alternative. It is a volcanic mineral, so it's not really going to just completely disappear, but it's 100% natural.
Well, Judy, I just can't thank you enough. And I think we're all in the holiday spirit. Some of the comments were they wanted these designs. We can't give them away.